Imagine this. You're driving home after a long day. You see blue and red lights flashing in your mirror. Your heart starts pounding. You pull over. The officer walks up to your window and asks a simple question. And in the next 10 seconds, you accidentally say one sentence that gives the officer full legal permission to search your car, arrest you, or use your own words against you in court. Sounds extreme? It's not. It happens thousands of times every single day across America.
In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 most dangerous things people say to police. Phrases that seem completely innocent, but can absolutely destroy your legal rights. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the exact words to say instead, word for word, like a script. Stay until the end, because I'm also going to share the one magic sentence that criminal defense lawyers tell their own families to memorize. Let's go. Before we dive into the 5 mistakes, let me explain why what you say matters so much. Here's a legal fact most people don't understand. In the United States, a police officer is legally trained to use your own words as evidence, not just in court, but right there on the spot. Your words can give an officer something called probable cause. That's the legal standard an officer needs to search your car, your pockets, your bag, even arrest you without a warrant. And here's the scary part. You don't have to say anything criminal. You don't have to confess. You just have to say something that sounds suspicious, even if you're completely innocent. The 4th Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches. The 5th Amendment protects you from being forced to incriminate yourself. But here's the catch. Both of those protections can be waived, and most people waive them by accident, just by talking too much. So let's break down exactly what not to say. Mistake number 1, and this is the one almost everyone makes. You get pulled over. Maybe it's late at night. The officer leans into your window and asks, "Have you had anything to drink tonight?" And you think you're being honest. You think you're being cooperative. So you say, "I only had 2 beers, officer." Stop right there. Do you know what you just did? You just gave the officer a legal confession. Not a maybe, not a we'll see, a confession. You just told a law enforcement officer on record that you consumed alcohol and then operated a vehicle. That's enough for the officer to pull you out of the car, administer a field sobriety test, or even breathalyze you. And the same thing applies to speeding. If the officer asks, "Do you know how fast you were going?" and you say, "I was probably going a little over the limit," congratulations. You just confessed to speeding. Your chances of fighting that ticket in court just dropped to almost 0. Here's what a lawyer would tell you. You are never required to answer questions that could incriminate you. That's your 5th Amendment right. You don't have to lie. You just don't have to answer. Instead, you can calmly say, "Officer, I respectfully prefer not to answer that question." That's it. Polite, legal, protective. Remember, "I only had 2" doesn't sound like a confession to you, but in a courtroom, it absolutely is one. Mistake number 2, and this one is a legal trap that catches millions of people every year. Picture this. You've been pulled over. The officer has checked your license and registration. Everything seems fine. But then the officer says something like, "You don't mind if I take a quick look in your car, do you? It'll only take a second." Now, most people, good, law-abiding people, think, "Well, I've got nothing to hide, so sure, go ahead." And they say yes. The moment you say sure, or go ahead, or even just nod your head, you have just waived your 4th Amendment right against unreasonable searches. Completely. Voluntarily. Let me explain why this is so dangerous. Without your consent, an officer generally needs one of 3 things to search your car: a search warrant signed by a judge, probable cause, meaning they can see or smell something suspicious, or you're being placed under arrest. But if you give consent, they don't need any of those things. They can search everything: your glove box, your trunk, under your seats, your bags, your phone in some cases. And here's the worst part. If they find anything, even something you forgot was there, even something that belongs to a friend who left it in your car, you cannot challenge that search in court because you said yes. So what should you say instead? It's simple. You calmly, politely say, "Officer, I don't consent to any searches." You don't have to explain why. You don't have to argue. You don't have to be rude. Just those 7 words. I don't consent to any searches. Now, important note, if the officer says they're going to search anyway, do not physically resist. Let them search. But you've protected your rights. Your lawyer can later argue in court that the search was illegal, and any evidence found may be thrown out. But if you said, "Sure, go ahead," that argument is gone forever. This is the single most important phrase in this entire video. Write it down. Memorize it. Teach it to your family. Mistake number 3. This one feels logical, but it's a legal disaster. You get stopped, and the officer tells you you've done something wrong. Maybe an illegal U-turn, running a stop sign, or having tinted windows that are too dark. And your gut reaction is to say, "Oh, I didn't know that was illegal," or "I had no idea I couldn't do that." Now, in everyday life, that sounds like a reasonable excuse. But in the legal world, ignorance of the law is not a defense. It has never been a defense. Courts have upheld this principle for over 200 years. But here's what makes it worse. When you say, "I didn't know that was illegal," you are actually doing 2 damaging things at once. First, you're admitting you did the thing. You just confirmed the act. Second, you're showing the officer, and potentially a judge, that you don't take the law seriously enough to learn it. Think about it from the officer's perspective. You just confirmed everything they suspected, and you gave them 0 reason to show leniency. Officers have discretion. They can sometimes let things slide with a warning. But "I didn't know" almost never triggers sympathy. It triggers suspicion.
Here's what to say instead. If the officer tells you what you did wrong, you simply respond, "I understand, officer. Thank you for letting me know." You're not admitting guilt. You're not arguing. You're not claiming ignorance. You're being respectful, which actually increases your chance of getting a warning instead of a ticket. And if the officer asks if you knew what you did was wrong, same answer as before. I respectfully prefer not to answer that question.
Mistake number 4. And this one is ironic. Because on this channel, we are all about knowing your rights. But there's a massive difference between knowing your rights and screaming, "I know my rights," at a police officer during a traffic stop. We've all seen those videos online. Someone gets pulled over, immediately starts yelling about the Constitution, filming the officer aggressively, refusing to roll down the window, demanding badge numbers before the officer even speaks. And in almost every single one of those videos, the situation escalates fast. Here's the legal reality. Yes, you absolutely have rights. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to refuse searches. You can record the officer in most states. All of that is true. But exercising your rights and announcing your rights are 2 completely different things. When you shout, "I know my rights," it doesn't legally protect you in any additional way. It doesn't make the officer back down. What it does do is escalate the situation emotionally. It signals confrontation. And an officer who perceives confrontation is far more likely to call for backup, order you out of the vehicle, or find a legal reason to take the interaction further. Think of it this way. A person who truly knows their rights doesn't need to announce it. They simply exercise them. Quietly, calmly, effectively. Instead of shouting, "I know my rights," just use your rights. If you don't want to answer a question, calmly say, "I respectfully invoke my right to remain silent." If you don't want your car searched, calmly say, "I don't consent to searches." No drama, no yelling, no viral video moment. Just quiet, powerful legal protection. The strongest shield is a calm voice.
Mistake number 5. And honestly, this is the one that sends more innocent people to jail than any other mistake on this list. You get stopped, or maybe you're being questioned about something, and your instinct, your very human, very natural instinct, is to explain yourself, to tell your side of the story, to clear things up. So you start talking. "Officer, let me explain. What happened was I was coming from my friend's house, and he lives on Oak Street, and I was just trying to get home before it got too late, and I might have made a wrong turn, and then I saw the other car, and I thought the light was yellow, and honestly, I didn't even see the stop sign because there was a tree blocking it, and..." Stop. Everything you just said, the officer is writing it all down, or recording it on their body camera. Every single detail. Every inconsistency, every nervous ramble. And a prosecutor can later use any of those details against you.
Did you say you were coming from your friend's house? Now they know where you were. Did you mention it was getting late? That implies urgency, maybe reckless driving. Did you say you thought the light was yellow? That's an admission you weren't sure. Did you mention a tree blocking the sign? That doesn't excuse running the sign. It just proves you ran it. Here's what criminal defense attorneys say, and I want you to burn this into your memory. No one has ever talked themselves out of an arrest, but thousands of people have talked themselves into one. Your right to remain silent is not just a right. It is a strategy. It's the single most powerful legal tool you have during any police encounter. So what should you say? If the officer asks what happened, you say, "Officer, I'd prefer to speak with an attorney before answering any questions." Or simply, "I'm going to exercise my right to remain silent." Then, you stop talking. Completely. Let the silence do its work. Okay, so now you know the 5 things never to say. But I don't want to just leave you with a list of don'ts. I want to give you the exact script, the actual words to use during any police encounter. Think of this as your legal cheat sheet. Step 1. When the officer first approaches, keep your hands visible, on the steering wheel if you're in a car. Wait for the officer to speak first. Don't volunteer information. Step 2. Provide identification. When the officer asks for your license and registration, you can say, "Of course, officer. My license is in my wallet in my back pocket. I'm going to reach for it now." Always narrate your movements. This keeps the situation calm and transparent. Step 3. If the officer asks questions, this is where most people get into trouble. For any question beyond your basic identification, you can respond with, "Officer, I'm choosing to exercise my right to remain silent." Or, "I respectfully decline to answer that question." Step 4. If the officer asks to search, 7 magic words. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Say it once, clearly. Step 5. If you're being detained or arrested, ask one question. "Am I free to leave?" If the answer is no, then say, "I would like to speak with an attorney." Then stop talking. Completely. Step 6. After the encounter, write down everything you remember. The time, the location, the officer's name and badge number if you got it, what was said, what happened. Do this within 1 hour while your memory is fresh. This becomes invaluable if you need a lawyer later. That's the entire script. 6 steps. Let me repeat the key phrases one more time.
Now, as promised, here's the bonus. The one magic sentence that criminal defense lawyers teach their own families to memorize. Ready? Here it is. On the advice of counsel, I invoke my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination and respectfully decline to answer any questions. That's it. That is the nuclear option, the golden sentence. It sounds formal because it is formal, and that formality matters. Here's why. In a landmark case, the Supreme Court ruled that you must explicitly invoke your Fifth Amendment rights. Simply staying silent isn't always enough. An officer or a court could interpret your silence as evasion, as guilt, or as uncooperativeness.
But when you say this sentence, this exact sentence, you have clearly, legally, unmistakably invoked your constitutional right. No prosecutor can twist it. No officer can claim you were being difficult. You stated a legal right using legal language. Now, you don't have to memorize the full sentence. Even a shorter version works. I'm invoking my Fifth Amendment right, and I'd like an attorney. But the full version? That's what lawyers recommend, because it leaves absolutely zero room for interpretation. Write it down. Screenshot this part of the video. Put it in your phone notes, and share this video with everyone you care about, because this sentence could change someone's life.
All right, let's do a rapid-fire recap. Your rights cheat sheet. Save this video and come back to this part anytime you need it. Number 1, you do not have to answer questions beyond identifying yourself in most states. Number 2, you do not have to consent to any search of your person, your car, or your property. Number 3, you do have the right to remain silent, but you must invoke it out loud. Number 4, you do have the right to an attorney. Ask for one immediately if arrested. Number 5, you can record police in most states, but do it calmly and without interfering. Number 6, if you're arrested, say only these words: I invoke my right to remain silent. I want an attorney. Then stop talking. Number 7, always be calm, polite, and respectful. Your rights protect you. Your tone keeps you safe. These aren't loopholes. These aren't tricks. These are your constitutional rights as an American citizen. And they exist for one reason: to protect you.
If you made it this far, thank you. Seriously. You just gave yourself knowledge that most people never take the time to learn. And that knowledge could protect you, protect your family, or protect someone you care about. Here's what I need you to do right now. First, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon, because every single week, Advocate Max is going to bring you another video just like this one, breaking down your legal rights in plain, simple language that anyone can understand. No confusing legal jargon, just the truth. Second, share this video. Send it to your parents, send it to your kids when they start driving, send it to your friends. Because the more people who know their rights, the safer all of us become.
And third, drop a comment below. Tell me, what's the one thing from this video that surprised you the most? I read every single comment, and your questions help me decide what video to make next. Next week, we're covering the 10 things your landlord can never legally do to you. And number 6 is going to shock you. You don't want to miss it. Until then, know your rights. Protect your future. I'm Advocate Max, and I'll see you in the next one.